Hey there, what's up guys? Today's video is a good one because we're going to be building a consulting funnel from start to finish. I'm going to make it available inside of Kartra. If you want to get a Kartra trial with me, obviously you can get this for free. I actually give my webinar and live webinar and auto webinar funnels as well completely free, saving you a fortune on Webinar Jam, like $1,000 a year. With every Kartra trial. But we're going to build this live. So if you've already got Kartra, then you can, or you want to kind of bespoke it a bit more yourself, and actually you want to, or you just want to learn a little bit about funnel building. It's really good. So I'll put all the links that you need down below in the description. But what we'll do is we'll crack straight on with this funnel. So I'll talk you quickly through it. So first of all, we're going to have an opt-in page. Then we're going to have what is known as a VSL. So this is a video sales letter. So this is like a small presentation, usually about 15-20 minutes, where we either put ourselves on camera talking about the product or service that we offer. And it could be like a mini webinar, or it could be a slideshow, or it could be, you know, like one of those animation type videos. You've seen them, where we present our product. Okay. And then at the end of that product, we have a button that pops up down below, and that button will then take them over to your calendar. Okay. Now, the great thing about Kartra is within inside of Kartra, we've got a complete booking system. So we do not need to use Calendly, Schedule Once. If you are using those, then obviously you can, because you know you can actually, you have the option. But with Kartra, we can use Kartra's own booking system. And the great thing about this is it books straight into their Google Calendar, and it will send out all the reminders and all that sort of good stuff as well. So we're going to use Kartra, and then we're going to have a thank you page, which is really important because we obviously want to make sure that on this thank you page, we can apply things like our pixels, or we can actually stop sending them this indoctrination series of emails. And then we've got 4 emails, then we're going to get on the phone, and then once they put this call, we'll get on the phone with them, and then that's when they can become a client. So sound good? So what we have to do first, the first thing I want to do is basically create all the pages and create all the assets, because we're going to have to go back into each one of these pages. Right, so what I like to do is just go to each one of these that I'm going to need and just right click, open in a new tab. So I've got my, this one's forms, this one's calendars, this one's help desk, this one's pages, and this was sequences. And then that way I'll just go to each tab that I use, because if I want to use different tabs, it won't let you. Like Kartra won't let you open a page in 2 separate windows. And also we're going to need to kind of go back and forth. It's a little bit like, if you ever played Tomb Raider, it's one of my favourite old games I used to love playing. There's a bit where you have to go over there to go and get that bit, to go over there to go back over that bit. It's a bit like that with Kartra. We have to kind of go backwards and forwards sometimes, because when we create one thing, we have to then go back into it to add that thing that we created somewhere else. You'll sort of see as we go through, but it all adds to the fun, I suppose. So so anyway, right, so let's build this funnel. So let's have a look at our funnel. So we've got our funnel mapped out here. So first thing we want is an opt-in page. So the first thing I do is I don't do any integrations with it. I literally build out the funnel as we go. So we're going to go to the pages tab. So we're going to go over to this one here. So I'm going to put that first, and then I'm just going to go create a new page. Now they've got a new sites thing in here, so I'm actually going to add it to a site. So I'm actually going to create a site and call it, the whole thing, a website, because Kartra recently just added that. I don't know if you saw that. They recently just added that. So I'm actually going to choose a template, because we're not going to do design here. So I'm going to choose a squeeze page. Okay, and I'm just going to choose, let's just choose one. We'll try and keep the design to some sort of level that makes sense. Now, my advice with opt-in pages is keep them really, really simple. You want to make sure that whatever traffic you're sending in, it's literally like, you literally have your hook, whatever it is that's going to get them to opt in, and an opt-in, and that's it. Okay. Now, obviously, you can do a reverse squeeze page, so you can actually indoctrinate them on the squeeze page, which means you'll get higher quality lead, but it's going to cost you more if you're sending paid traffic. Or if you want to kind of get the highest conversion, so you get more people on your list, you want to keep it simple. I generally keep it simple. I've recently been kind of experimenting with reverse squeeze pages, which gets me a much better lead, but it costs me a lot more money. Obviously, I actually use YouTube as well, so I get a lot of free traffic. But when I do paid traffic, it costs me a lot more money, but those leads actually convert a lot better. So it's kind of like swings and roundabouts. But for the purpose of this, we don't want to have a video, because we're having that on the VSL. So I think what we want is something very, very straightforward. So let me just choose That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to choose this brown one here. So we're going to go select. And then launch builder. Okay, and we're going to call this I'm going to prefix everything with VSL, and then I'm just going to call it VSL opt-in page. And then the category in here is going to be, I'm actually going to manage my categories and create one, call it VSL. I like to kind of keep things as organized as I can, especially when I add these in the Kartra marketplace, or if you're adding your own funnels in the Kartra marketplace, the more things that you've got organized for people, it's going to make it so much easier for them. So we're going to create a site and we're going to call it VSL. Okay, and then we're going to nothing so far because we're just creating one, and then we're going to call it did I just create it? No. Brilliant. Okay. Forgot to add it. So we can just select VSL. So that is now done. Now they've got this new thing, global elements, which is great. So what that means is when you do your pixels or your codings and things like that, you can actually make sure that just copies over to your entire site. So beforehand, we used to have to go into every single page. And that was the only way to do it. So they've actually added this. This is like a massive, massive time saver. It's a massive godsend. So we create the page, and then we're just going to leave that for now. And we're going to keep creating the assets. Now we're going to need two forms, because we're going to need one form for the calendar, and we're going to need one form for the opt-in page here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that as is, and we're going to go publish. I'm going to publish it, and then we'll come back to it. And then we're going to create some forms. So the first one we want to create is for the calendar. So I'm going to call this VSL. I'll call it booking. Okay, and then we're going to create that. And it's going to ask us for pages that we haven't created yet. So that's why we'll have to come back to this. So that's fine. We can leave that first name and email address. Okay, single opt-in, we can leave that. And as you can see, it's going to ask us for a success page. So we haven't done that. Now, the success page is going to be the VSL page. So actually what I might do, before I do that, I'm going to come back to... No, I'm not. I'm just going to choose any page in my site for now, because we're going to have to come back and do that. So I'm just going to choose any page for now, because we have to do that. And what I generally do is I'll make a note just to make sure I go back and do it. So opt-in success page. I'll just write that down. But I generally go back over every single part when I've created the funnel anyway. So that's done. Again, we're going to do all the tags and everything in a bit. Actually, we can do that now because we can create these inside of here. So what I want to do here is this is the booking one. So we're going to put this in VSL. I think we just created it. It's not showing. So let's create a new tag and call this VSL booking. We'll keep it congruent, and it's VSL booked a call. Okay, and then the category, again, we're going to have to create the category here, I think, and we're just going to call this VSL. Okay, and then we won't have an expiry date, and then we can add that there and then press save. So yeah, obviously if it won't let you go through, quite often you haven't pressed the actual add button. That's a common mistake that I've had a lot of people. And then we want to subscribe to a list. So we actually do. We want to have them in a list. We want to make sure that we're keeping everything organized. Now we haven't created one called VSL yet. So we're going to create a new list. Just call it VSL. Okay. And then we're going to call this VSL. Again, I'm just going to call it VSL. Okay. And then you press the add button and save. Okay, subscribe to a sequence. Now we will have them subscribe to a sequence, but I don't think we can create that here. So we're going to have to go no. Okay, and we're going to go opt in. I'm just going to put booking form, and then we want subscribe to sequence. I'm just putting in a note of everything that I'm going to be creating. And then the advanced automations is obviously if you want a tag to be added or something like that. But to be honest, you've done most of that anyway. So, I mean, obviously, if you know about automations, you can do sort of if something happens and something else happens, that sort of stuff. So I actually don't do it on these. I do it up here. So that's fine. And okay, and then this is going to be an in Kartra page, Kartra video or Kartra calendar. So we want to obviously tick that box, save and next, finish. So we've created the booking form. So I'm just going to put a list of all the things I've made so that I can keep on top of it. And then we need to create a new form again. So we go back to forms, add a new form, and this is going to be our VSL opt-in form. There we go. And again, this is not going to let us opt in form. Just write that down so I know what I need to configure. That's not going to let us do certain things again, I should think. So again, we're just going to have to choose. So the opt-in page, so for this one we will want the VSL page. So actually what we should have done is created all the pages first, but it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to, again, I'm going to select anything. Doesn't really matter because we've got to come back and do it. So opt success page, and then we can create the tags again. We're not going to send a welcome message because we're actually going to send a sequence. So you can, if you want to, you can actually just send a welcome message from here, but we're going to set up a sequence that's actually going to warm them up over a few days so that those that opt in, see the VSL, we can actually send them back and obviously get them more warmed up to opt in. So, and then we're going to assign a tag. So yes, we are. We're going to go, we should have the VSL now, and then we're going to create a new tag, and we're going to call this VSL opted in, and then I'm going to just do the same, VSL opted in, and then the category is going to be VSL. There we go. And we just create that. And then we add it. And then we press save. And then we're going to subscribe them to the list. Okay, so we're actually going to subscribe them to the list VSL. The booking, actually, we didn't need to subscribe them. So I'm actually going to take that out because they would have already been subscribed. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in there. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it won't really do anything. It will just subscribe them if they're not subscribed, but they will be. And then we're going to subscribe them to a sequence. So we need to do that once we've created it. So I'm just making a note of that. So we'll leave that off and advanced automations off. And then this one is we're going to embed it in our own site because we're going to use our own form because I'll show you that when we do the opt-in page. Okay, and then that's it. So that's the two forms done, which we've got to come back and create. Now, the next thing we want to do is create the rest of the pages. So we're going to go return to dashboard on here. Okay, and then we're going to go add page. And the next page we want in the sequence is the VSL page. So we want a video sales page. As you can actually see, they've got some really great ones here. So let's just choose this one. So I'm just going to make a couple of minor changes probably when I put it in. We're just going to call this VSL page, VSL, select a site VSL, and then we haven't done any global elements yet. And then we're basically going to just come in and remove some bits to make it more. Ideally, we just want, I mean, we won't want these on here, so we'll just remove those. We don't want this because we haven't got a product. Okay, we would want a footer and we wouldn't want a header. And then the only thing we might want is a testimonial. So if we go to testimonial sections, let's choose something like this. We might here. Okay, we definitely want a footer. So I'll leave that one in. And then obviously if you've got contact privacy policy pages, those sort of things. And then the only other thing we definitely want in here is a button. Okay, so we're going to want to put a button. So just put that in here. I'm just going to move that over to the center. Schedule a call. Put that in. We're just going to make the color sort of look a bit better with the, it's a bit too much, that white background. Maybe we want an orangey color. That'd be quite nice. Let's make that slightly darker. That kind of looks like the top then. Perfect. Okay, cool. And then what I would generally do is put something like here. Make that a bit bigger. You can obviously put what you want here. Maybe make it bold. Okay, you can actually bring that up a bit if you want to. So you could go -40, and that'll sort of make a bit more sense. I'll think about that one in a minute. I'll just keep it there for a bit of formatting. We might need it for in a minute. And then maybe click the button to schedule a call with me, something like that. I am going to get rid of that. Okay. And what I generally do is if I've got anything else on the page here, well, that does look quite nice coming up out of the bottom there, but I still would do it, is I would generally we're going to have to put in another section. Hold on. So we want an empty section, which we're going to just put in here. Okay, and then I'm not sure if we can drag this into that section. Then we need a column. So we'll then put in a column. So you can put in actual fully formed sections, but if you're putting something in on its own, you have to add a column. And then this looks a bit weird, but don't worry too much about this. This will disappear once we publish it. And if you ever have a problem trying to move stuff around, I usually just make the page a bit smaller. And on the Mac, it's Command-, but it might be different on a Windows. But there'll be a way to do it, and then you'll find that you can drag it down, and obviously you just need to let it go green. It didn't, so we'll do it again. Green, there we go. And then I'm going to copy that again and move that. It's quite fiddly. There we go. And I generally would do that, and then we'll just make it normal again. And then the last thing I would do, I mean, we're going to come back to this and configure all these, but the last thing I would certainly do here is I would check tablet and mobile just to make sure you're happy. Okay, these will disappear. They don't disappear when you're creating it, but they will when you publish it. I'll show you actually. So we'll go publish live. You just get the page link, and I'll show you. This will appear up here. As you can see, that's all nicely formatted. And yeah, actually, because that looks a bit untidy, I think I am going to break my own rules here. I don't want the page to look too spammy or too messy, and I did quite like, I think that is that section. I'm going to just delete the whole section. I did quite like them coming up out of the thing there, which is quite nice. Let's just see how that looks on mobile and tablet. Yeah, that looks really nice. And it doesn't really, like, you can still see the button. So I'm going to go publish live. And then I'm just going to refresh that. Give it a minute. Usually it takes a couple of seconds. There we go. How cool is that? That looks really smart. I like that. So that's going to be our VSL page, and it'll be good to have a couple of testimonials on there. If you want to change the testimonial block, obviously you just put whatever you want in. And the great thing about these blocks, if you're not familiar with them, is you can build your entire page just with blocks. And when you do, they consider it tablet and mobile. And bearing in mind, most of the traffic is not on desktop. Most of the traffic is now on tablet and mobile. That's what makes Kartra a cut above everything else, because it really thinks about it. And then if you want to build all your pages just using these sections, you can literally, you can choose a hero section, choose a testimonial section, a checklist section, and you can literally build a page in about 5 minutes. Really cool. So there we go. So that's going to be our VSL page. I'm going to put in something here that's not Lorem Ipsum. No, I'm not. I'll leave it because we've got to come back anyway. So that's published. I'm just going to press publish again. Okay, so we'll go back to our Funalytics, and we've done the VSL page. Now we need to now create a calendar. Okay, and we need to create a thank you page. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually return to the dashboard, and I'm going to create a thank you page. I want to get all the pages done while I'm here. So this is really simple. We just go thank you page. Okay, and you can have a video, or you can have an image, or you can have something, quite often I just do this, and then you can change it out because it's pretty straightforward. So we're going to use that because it's a pretty good page. So I'm just going to go back to create page again. Let's go to thank you page. In fact, I've used that one quite a lot because you can obviously put in elements or switch out elements. And I don't know, obviously, when you guys create one, I don't know what you would actually prefer in here. And you can literally just put in what you want. So I'm just going to select that and launch builder. Okay, now it's really important to have a thank you page. One, you want to send everyone to somewhere afterwards. But two, it's really good if you're doing paid traffic. You can actually put your pixel on there, and you can actually put a standard event, which actually would tell your like Facebook and places like that to stop sending ads. Also, you can apply a tag on that thank you page so you can stop sending them emails. Really important to have a thank you page. Okay, so that's why we always include them in our funnels, because you can track so much just from that thank you page. And also, I've seen in some of the trainings you can actually put more testimonials. You can indoctrinate them more. You can talk to them about what to expect on the call and stuff like that. So stuff like that you can all do on your VSL page. Now, I'm going to keep this straightforward, but you can just literally put in a video, create a video, and tell them what to expect. You can put in, turn up an hour early, make sure it's a quiet room, all that sort of good stuff. I've done that before as well, and some of my thank you pages have been really, getting people kind of warmed up a little bit more, indoctrinated, a bit more excited. Okay, so we're going to obviously add this to VSL, and we're going to add this to VSL. So we're going to go create. Okay, so that should be okay. We're going to call it thank you. There we go. And I'm not going to do anything with this at the moment. Brilliant. So we're just going to go publish live. I think that's done. Okay, and we're going to go return to dashboard. Now we can probably choose the VSL. Saying it's not published. I'm just going to publish it. Not that it really matters, because we will probably likely have to come back into it, especially to put in some tagging and stuff like that. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a tag on this page, which is up here. And so you can see here that if somebody lands on this page, they will have had to have opted in. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to apply a tag so that we can know that they've booked a call, and we can actually put that in our funnels and everything so that we can stop sending them emails. So I'm going to put in the category is VSL. Okay, and I'm going to put create a new tag, and I'm going to put VSL opted booked a call. Okay, so, and I'm going to call that the same down here. Copy, paste, and then I'm going to put that in VSL. I'll put everything in the right category. And then what will happen is that they do not need to do anything. Literally, as soon as they land on this page, it's going to apply the tag in Kartra, and then all of the emails will basically be looking for that tag to stop sending them, to stop indoctrinating them. And I do this quite a lot. And obviously, if you want to send people into different funnels and you don't want to get them to have to opt in and things like that when they're already on your list, because obviously that's another step, then this is the way you do it. You just apply tags to certain pages, and then you can start new sequences in different areas. Again, this is one of the reasons why I love Kartra, because you can just kind of get them going wherever you want just by them landing on pages, which is really cool. So we're going to do that, and actually I'm going to do publish live again. I probably came out of it before it was published, and then it should be good to go. Great. Okay, so that's done. So we've now got, if we return to dashboard on there, and while that's doing that, we'll go back here. So we've now done opt-in, VSL, sales call. We haven't done the sales call and the thank you. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a calendar. So if we come over to our calendars, okay, now I just created this one. I'm actually going to delete it. I just created this one while I was the other day. And this one. This is the one actually I think I was creating this morning. So it's... Okay, so here we go. So we are going to do a consultant model. So this is where you're booking as a one-time slot for somebody to book into your calendar, like a sales call. So I'm going to call this sales VSL sales call. When you're creating pages for sites and things like that, it's always important to give it the same prefix. It's just when you're you can get quite muddled up inside Kartra. So you want to make sure, obviously, when you're looking at things, they all kind of tie together quite quickly. So I always give everything a prefix. But when you actually deploy campaigns that other people have created, like if you want to get this one and deploy it, you can actually give it a prefix, and it'll prefix everything on your site. So, if you're using it for different things, then obviously you can just give it a different prefix. But I do it anyway, just because it makes sense to me when I'm using it, right? So if you're just creating stuff for yourself, you'll be able to see everywhere you go, everything's got the same first 3 letters. I usually just give it something with 3 letters. So logo, obviously that's my old logo, so I'm not going to use that. I need something. Oh, we'll leave that in. That's one of my old logos for my website, but I can't seem to remove it unless I put something else in. So obviously you'll just need to change that out. And you can have a custom marquee. Now, actually, these are quite good. So let's choose something gender neutral, because it's going to be... That's kind of nice. Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to go yes, and we're going to use that. So let users select their prospective time zone. Now, this is always going to be in Eastern Standard Time, but it will actually show them it there in their time zone. So we can do that. Save and next. Okay. And then you may create multiple classes in the same calendar. Yes, I understand. And yes, I understand. This is just going to talk you through what about time zones. Kartra works on Eastern Standard Time, therefore your calendar must also be configured in Eastern Standard Time. However, don't worry, this is only while configuring your calendar. When your users land on the actual page, it will automatically convert time to their respective local time. So that makes sense. Okay, and then I put in my time zones here, so you can obviously change these. And obviously you would just need to come into the calendar and actually select the calendar and go through these steps and put in the times that you're available. And then you can put in dates that you block out as well. So I'm going to put this class title. I'm going to put in book, schedule a call in with me. Okay, I'm just going to put that in case you don't actually amend it, and then it's going to be the same. So I'm going to put the same here. Actually, I'm going to call it strategy call. Strategy call in with me here. And then you can obviously allow them to book. This will tell you number of sessions the user subscribes should be made, for example, how many are they going to book in. So obviously you can put in how many sessions. Now here you can put in don't allow same day booking. Now I always select that because you do really, you can be kind of caught unawares if you're out doing a bit of shopping or something like that. And obviously you want to do that. And then you can block off specific dates. So for instance, if you're not working Christmas Day, I mean, people probably won't book in Christmas Day, but, you know, I'm just using it as an example. You can obviously put that in. You could put in New Year's Day. I'll put those in, actually, because that's pretty universal. And, you know, maybe you want to put in any specific dates. You can put those in there. Okay, now, if you want to charge, you can. I'm going to make this one free, but you can actually charge, and you would need to, all you need to do for that is to go to your products and create a product and a price and select the product here. I'm not going to make this a charged one because I guess a load of people are wanting people to do it for free. I actually charge for my calls. I charge $50 simply because I want to kind of pre-qualify people to the right people to work with, and that kind of gets rid of the people that I don't want to work with, right? It kind of pre-qualifies people to that level. So you can do that inside of Kartra. Absolutely you can. But for the purpose of this, I'll make it free. And then you would select your opt-in form. So we have now got the VSL opt-in form. So we can actually select that. And then press save. There we go. Okay, so that's really cool. And then we are going to... you can actually send a confirmation email again from here. But since we're doing this inside our... we're actually sending out a sequence of 3 or 4 emails. We're going to put no. Okay, you can obviously just put one here if you want to. If you're just sending out one email, you can do that and not have the sequence. And then don't allow users to cancel. Well, I always do because people want to. And then you can either have instant or manual approval. So if you want to include a form where you're actually finding out information, then you can have a manual approval process where you actually would say thank you or yes or no. So for this instance, we're going to do a instant approval. Okay, so that actually books straight into the call. Okay, and then we're going to go next. Okay, and then we're going to have a help desk. Okay, I think it's important to have a help desk for something like this because people are always going to want to ask questions. People are always going to want to actually talk to you. Now, I am actually going to include a help desk. Now, we haven't done that yet. So again, we're going to have to go back and come back to calendar, add help desk. We'll create that in just a sec, and I'll show you how to do a very quick, simple one. And then, so we're going to go, at the moment, I'm going to obviously choose the wrong one, and sync with an external calendar. So you can put here Google Calendar, and you can put in your calendar here. So I'm actually going to leave that as no, because it will probably sync it with my calendar, right? Which I don't want you to do. So I'll leave that as no, but you can actually come back in here and click yes. And then what you can do is you can actually sync it how you want. And then on here, I'm going to put assign tags. Yes. Okay. We've already done it, but we are going to double do it. So just to make sure that they have actually done it. So this one is booked a call. So when they land on the thank you page, or when they have done this and this is actually done, they're going to get that tag, right? So just in case they kind of don't get to the thank you page, which they will, because they have to. We want to make sure that they're obviously, because that form obviously takes them straight to the thank you page. But we just want to make sure that that tag is applied and we stop sending them emails. So we'll put that in there as well. We can obviously make sure that we're not going to subscribe them to a list from the calendar because they've already done. We're not going to subscribe them to a sequence from the calendar, okay, because that's already done. And so that's all, we're just going to go save and next, and that's done. Okay, so we need to come back to the calendar and do that in a moment. So let's go back to our funnel. Okay, so we've created our sales call. Okay, the next thing we want to actually do is create a help desk. So I'm just going to create a very quick help desk. Okay, I'm going to call this VSL. I'm just going to call it VSL. And I have it hosted on Kartra servers. You can obviously put your logo in here. You can choose your own design template. Let's choose one that marries the color of the funnel. So we'll just choose that. And then again, you can have a marquee. Again, I want to choose, I quite like that one. Looks like a help desk. So that's that. And then we're going to go save and next. You'd obviously want to change your logo in there. And then the department, I'm going to call this support. Okay. And yes. So if you create separate apartments, you can actually have departments that are private or available. So for instance, if somebody gets a support ticket, they can select a department. But say, for instance, you want to move it to another department that you don't want people to be able to kind of book into. That's what this means. So at the moment, we're going to be making it public, okay, because we're only really using this department. But if you've got a big team and you've got, say, a department over here that only comes internally, then you keep that private and you can literally then forward that to that department in-house. Really cool feature. So we're just going to call this support, okay? And then we're going to, we're just going to do ticket for this. So obviously if you do phone, you can do phone and add a phone number. If you want to do live chat, if you've got people manning at certain hours, you can actually select that. And you can do Skype. So I am going to do a support ticket. And if your average response time is 3 hours, put that. If it's 24 hours, put that. Now, I'll put it at 24. But obviously, if you're likely to do a little bit quicker, then you can do that. So I'm just going to do it as a support ticket, which means that it'll go via your Kartra mail into your inbox, so that you will actually be able to log in and answer the support tickets inside Kartra, and you'll be notified via your inbox. You'll get an email from Kartra saying you have a support ticket. Then you log into Kartra, you come over to your help desks, and you'll be able to see your support tickets in there. It'll actually come up with a little red thing here so that you know that you've got to do it. And that's how I do my support. That's the only way I do it at the moment, but they obviously have all these other options available as well. So that's that. And then you can create a wiki. Now, if you want to, if you've got like a bunch of commonly asked questions, for instance, there's loads of different things that people are kind of always asking, then you can actually cut down your support calls by answering those questions. So you might have frequently asked questions. You might have like a wiki where you actually go into like, you know, have you checked to see if we've already answered it? Again, I'm not going to include one for this, okay? So we are going to... I'm not sure if I can get past this. Okay, I'm just going to call it. Let's see if I can remove that and just do... No, it seems I have to add something. I can't remember the last time I did this. So we'll just add that and we'll just go save and next. Okay. You may now add a new section to your help desk portals called My Orders. There, your user will be able to log in and view their past transactions and activate recurring subscriptions and download their invoices and data. How cool is this? I actually haven't seen this. So this is a free call, so we're going to put no. But there you go. You can actually now have that inside the help desk, which is really cool. So we're going to do save and next. Okay. And we're not... I mean, obviously, if people are coming in, you can capture them as leads if you want to and put them into an indoctrination series. But for the purpose of this, we're not going to do that. And... you can obviously create your signature here, and you can also create a canned response. It's like, for instance, we will create a canned response. Okay, so we're going to do an auto reply. Okay, thank you for your ticket. I usually get back to you 24 hours on weekdays. For fast... There you go. And then there we go. So that's now included in there as well. Okay, and there it is. And that's done. So we can now add that to the calendar. So if we go back to calendar, we'll go to this one. And that, I think that was the only thing we needed to add. And we can add it to the pages as well. So, so we're just going to go through, add this to the calendar. There we go. And we're just going to change it to the correct help desk. There we go. And the rest is absolutely fine. So we can tick off calendar, that's done. So yeah, as you can see, we sort of have to sometimes go backwards and forwards a little bit. You can probably find a much faster system than I do. When Frank Kern talks about building funnels, if you go through building something like the 4-day cash machine and stuff like that, he always says you sort of work backwards. So you know, I probably need to streamline my process a bit better than that. But that's kind of right. You kind of need to create everything and then go backwards. So the next thing we want to do, let me just have a look at the funnels. So we've created the calendar, we've created the thank you page. Now what we want to do is we want to go back into the forms, okay, I think, and add in the there we go. We want to go back into the forms and add in the pages. So let's just go through them all again quickly. Hang on. No, we don't. Because we need to also subscribe them to a sequence. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a sequence. So we're going to call this VSL, and we're just going to call this VSL warm. I'm going to call this if I can spell it, indoctrination. Is that how you spell it? No. There you go, it's corrected it. So there we go. So this is the indoctrination series. So it's basically only these emails are going to come out until they book a call. And then we're just going to we're going to put in add or remove a tag here. They've reached this step by opting in. Oh, hold on. I've done that wrong. There we go. And then we just add that. That's it. So we're going to delete that. And then we're going to add an email, a welcome email. And this is where it gets a little bit exciting, because what we can do here is obviously we're going to send a welcome email to everybody who opts in, because we want to basically point them to the sales page or point them to the calendar, right? Generally, we're going to point them back to the VSL sales page, because if they've opted in and they get distracted, we want to send them back. So right after the previous step, we're going to send it to everybody. Now, you can actually do date and time if you're running certain things at certain times, but obviously somebody might be watching your VSL at midnight, but you obviously, if your calendar's only set for certain times, they'll only be able to book in the next day or the day after anyway. So I have this going out all the time, but you can select time and date. Okay, I'm going to call this VSL welcome. And you would obviously, this won't come up on your thing, but you just obviously select your own gateway. So you do need to come in and configure that. And then you're going to anyone reaching this step, because this is your welcome email. So this one is definitely going to come out. Now, if you want to be GDPR compliant, you can actually include that in the email. I'll leave that off because some people in some countries don't need to be. And then you can do single email, or you can split test your emails. Okay. And I'm just going to put to whatever and maybe you'll put a link to calendar. Okay, so they've got a video here, and if they've already watched the video, they can obviously come back and get the link to the calendar here, maybe. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to configure this because this is going to be different for every single industry, niche, whatever. But if you want to obviously know what to write in these emails, you could just Google, like, you know, consultancy email templates, and you'll be able to get some fairly straightforward ones that will actually help you with this. I don't have any to hand. I usually just bespoke write mine. So I'm just going to put that in, and yeah, you can pre-configure that yourself. And that is it. We're not going to create an automation here. So that's now done. And then what you would need to do for that to work, you just link that, you just sort of drag the arrow to there, and then you press activate. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to put in, now I used to put in weights here, but you can put the weight inside the email. So I would just put another email, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that. Okay. And I'm just going to go in, just move this down here. I'm going to edit it here. And then I'm going to change the name. One day later. Or maybe you want to do a few hours later. It's always actually quite good to send, I'm going to change that. It's quite good to send another one a bit later that day, because usually the first day is when everything's fresh in their mind, right? So you can actually send 2 or 3 emails on the same day, and you can, you know, you don't have to be kind of, you can just tell some funny stories and actually, you know, just warm them up nice and gently and say, hey, guess what? This is what happened today, stuff like that, you know, and you just sending them email, you know, 2 or 3 emails that day, and then sending them back to the VSL, send them back to the page. The first day is actually the best day. So maybe you're going to do 3 hours later. Maybe we'll do one more email on the same day, right? Okay, and then I'm just going to put, did you know you know, and you can put something in there, and then you can obviously send them back to the video. I'm just going to leave that exactly as is. And the way that you actually, you can send a test here. If you want to create a template here, you can actually, you'd have to do it in this one, advanced. This advanced one is where you would actually build your pages to look like web pages. But for a consultancy one, I generally just do a basic one. And then you can obviously put in, these are, you know, if you want to put there anything that's pre-propagated by the information you've gathered, you can use these. And you can send a test email down here. And then when you actually want to save it, you have to press this edit button here. So we're going to do that 3 hours later. Now, actually, there was a mistake I made here. What we want here is we don't want anyone reaching this step. Now, this is where we can basically make sure we're not going to be hassling people that have already booked a call. So this is what we do here. We're actually going to put, has the tag VSL booked a call. Okay, so if they've already booked a call, then we do not want to hassle them. Okay, and then that is the second email. Okay, and that means that now this is going to check, this email is going to check in 3 hours' time, have they booked a call? If they haven't booked a call, it will send. If they have booked a call, they'll get nothing. Okay, you can actually put them into another series if you want to when they've booked a call. I don't recommend it, because if they've booked a call, okay, generally speaking, you could send them an email, just, you know, you could actually, if you want to, send them an email when they've booked a call based on this tag saying what they need to do and how to prepare. But you're actually going to do that on the thank you page as well. So you can do both. I'm not going to do that in this funnel, but you can actually just create an email based on this tag, okay, if you want to. However, for the purpose of this, we just want to make sure that we're sending them nice warm-up emails, but we're going to stop as soon as they've booked a call, right? Because we don't want to be kind of hassling them to book a call when they've already booked a call, because then they might come on with a different mindset to the call, right? And you might not get the sale. So that's what we want there. And then we're going to press close. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to activate. I'm just going to move that down a bit so you can actually, so we can see whether we've connected it. And then what we're going to do is we're literally going to clone that. And then we're going to just, the only thing we're going to change on here is the time and the title. So we're going to call this VSL maybe 7 hours later. Okay, we'll give them another 4 hours to think about it. And then what we can do here is we can just close it. Everything else is exactly the same. Obviously, you do need to come in here and change these emails, otherwise they're just going to get these random emails, right? So I'm just going to put that in, and then I am going to activate. There we go. And on top of this, we're going to clone it. And then we're going to edit it. And the next thing I'm going to do here again is exactly the same thing. But this way I'm going to do 1 day later. And actually what I'm going to do here, because there's a little trick I learned, is that it's best to send them the email the following day exactly 24 hours after the original email, because quite often they're watching these VSLs, opting into these things at a time that's right for them. So it's better to hit them at the time that's right for them every single day. And generally speaking, it's not always the case, but generally speaking, it's better to do it exactly 24 hours. So all we want to do is we want to take off 24 hours and we want to, actually we need to change these because these are all being sent straight away, but we want to take off, so 7, 8, 9, 10, so we want that to be 14 hours later, which makes it 24 hours later. Okay. And then actually there's a couple of things that I need to change on this. Okay. I'm going to close that for now. There's one mistake I made here, and I've just spotted it, is that these are all being sent straight away. I've only actually changed the title, not the... Let's activate this first. So you notice this top line, they all say immediately after. I actually changed the title of the email, but not actually changed the times when they come out. So we're just going to go in and edit that. And that says 14 days later, not 14 hours, but we'll change that again in a minute. So we're going to wait a number of hours, and we're going to wait 3 hours. Perfect. That's done. And that should now say 3 hours. And then this is going to be 7 hours. So we're going to just wait a number of hours and make that 7. And then we're going to make that 14 hours later. I'm actually going to just change that because it says 14 days. Okay. And then we're going to change that to 14 hours. Went blank there for a second. Do you ever get that where you're just kind of doing stuff and you kind of just don't know what you're doing? It's like, what am I doing? Right, so that's done. So brilliant. So we've now got our 4 emails. Obviously, you can carry on adding these as much as you want. The next email, obviously, you could do 24 hours later and keep doing them 24 hours later. And that way it'll be congruent 24 hours from the first time you did it, if you want to do that. So maybe I'll just add one more in. Let me just clone that. Maybe I'll just do edit, just so you've got one at least that you can clone out, and then they'll all be 24 hours later. So 24 hours later, edit, and then we'll just change that to 24 hours later. And then that will mean if you clone the last one, you can obviously then just do it 1 day later. There we go. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so that is now... I'm going to activate this. So that is now... As you can see here, that is now welcome email 3 hours later, 7 hours later, 14 hours later. And this is going to be 24 hours after the last one, which is actually going to be 2 days after that one. So that means that they're going to be getting 5 emails in the next 2 days, which is great. And they're going to be getting 3 emails on the first day. Which also is great because it means that they're kind of, they're hot, they've got it in their mind. Some people get really funny about sending emails to people, okay? I wouldn't worry about it because people are actually, they're opting in, they're interested in what you've got to sell. So you've got 2 or 3 options here, especially in the first 24 hours, to start kind of bringing in different elements, showing them things that are going to help them to kind of understand that your solution is what they need. So that's it. So that's the email sequence done. Obviously, you must go into this and edit this, guys, because otherwise it's going to send out emails. Now, I'm going to switch this off simply because you see this here. When that has the play button like that, it means it won't go out. So just in case you're doing anything and testing out, you're going to need to come in. I'll just press it again. You're going to need to come in and press that play button so that this is, look, the ones that are active look like this, right? So if you don't press that play button, it won't work. Okay, and obviously I would recommend, obviously you go into this one here, I'd recommend going and editing all your emails, making sure you're happy and sending test emails, and then coming back here and pressing the play button. So I'll keep that like that because obviously I don't want you to kind of switch this funnel on without doing that and then having these weird sort of emails going out to your clients, right? You'll get lots of complaints. So that's the email sequence done. So the next thing, let's go back to the funnel. Okay, so we've now done, so now what we need to do is we need to go back to the opt-in and the VSL and actually connect all the dots here, and then we're pretty much done. I think that's pretty much it. So we'll come back to the opt-in page. So we basically, what we need to do here is we need to connect the opt-in form, and then we can test the funnel out. In fact, I'll switch the email sequence back on just so that we can see that the welcome email comes out, and we'll do a test. And then that'll be it. So this might have gone on a bit longer than I expected. I'll try and make them a bit shorter as I go through the next ones. But because today we were kind of going through a lot of the basics, as we go through, these will all be added into the units. What we can do is we can kind of whip through them a bit quicker. So you can actually learn some of the basics from the first few that we create. So you can obviously put logo here, product here. I'm going to leave all of that as Lorem Ipsum. And this bit is the one where we're going to connect the opt-in form. So the opt-in form here is we want VSL opt-in, apply. Okay. And then if you want to change the button, you can actually change that one there. And you can put, yes, show me how it's done. That was rubbish. But there you go, you sort of get the idea. Let's put show me how it's done. And then obviously you can change that. This is another little tip that I learned. This is something that Russell Brunson said. It's really good to put things in the first person. So with these buttons, the more times it's kind of relevant for you to put it as though they're answering the question. Yes, show me how it's done, because it's them opting the button in. So I do that quite a lot, and it works really well. Another thing that works really well is an icon. Okay, now this hasn't got an icon for some reason. Some of them don't. Okay, so obviously if you get an icon, then you can put a little arrow pointing to that. They work really well as well. So obviously this is not relevant, but you can change all of this out to, you can just come in here, put you know how to do all this. You can actually change the text. You can put your own image in. And I would recommend putting a really good hook at the top. Okay, this is the most important thing. You actually won't need that much here. As long as your hook is really good, you can put in a couple of things you're going to cover in here, maybe here, and just an image. That's all I recommend. simply because and this hook has got to leave them curious. Okay, I've just been through the one funnel away challenge, and this is really important. Like the ones that get the highest opt-ins is where you're like, if you say to somebody how to lose weight by eating greens, like people know that they're going to eat greens to lose weight. It doesn't really spark any curiosity, right? You need something where they're going to need the answer. You're going to need something where they're going to kind of need to know what it is. So like one of the funnels that I've got is how to get an abundance of targeted traffic for free. And then I'll put in brackets without spending a penny on ads or funnels, something like that. So people are like, what? I need to find that out, right? So as long as you spark a bit of curiosity that's not completely answered by the hook, that they need to find out, then that's where you get your highest opt-in rates. And also the more busy you make this page, the lower your conversions are going to be. So if you want to make it really, really busy with lots of videos and lots of images and lots of testimonials and things like that, then when they opt in, there'll be really, really higher level of conversions, but your opt-in rates are going to be lower. So it's just something to bear in mind. And that's why I always generally, because you can build a relationship with people afterwards, it's better to have a simpler opt-in form. So there we go. That's your opt-in form. So that's actually ready to go now. We can put a footer in here if we want to. And what I would recommend here is adding a privacy policy terms of service if you're sending in paid traffic. Okay. And also if you want this to be ranking on search engines, again, you want to put a privacy policy terms of service. Okay, two buttons. I'm obviously not going to do that in here, but it's just a recommendation that you can add. So, and obviously you can save it as a template and add them to all of them. And I think you can actually standardize columns and events, which is a new feature obviously that Kartra added. So I haven't done that yet. So we're not going to do that today. It's not essential for what we're doing today. But then we're going to press publish live. Always publish when we've done any changes. So that is, as far as I'm aware, that is the booking form done. Okay, so that's done. Now the next page we want to go to is the opt-in page. So we're going to go return to dashboard. The VSL page, and we want to make sure that that button is connected to the calendar. So we're going to go edit. There is one last thing I want to show you. I'm just going to make this note down, is to name page names, okay, because they are what appear at the top in the browser. So at the moment they all say Kartra. So obviously you don't want that. You want to be able to name them. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you can go in and change them, and you can put in metadata as well if you want to have them listed on search engines. You can actually select not to have them listed. So obviously if it's in the middle of your funnel, you don't want them listed on a search engine because it won't make sense. Okay, so this is obviously where you put your video. I'm obviously not going to explain how you do that. You can actually put in a YouTube, Wistia, Vimeo, or Kartra. Okay, you can upload to Kartra, and Kartra will actually gather data and actually tell you where people are watching your videos all the way through. Vimeo does the same. Wistia does the same. YouTube gives you analytics, so it kind of does the same. So you can kind of get a certain level of that with all of them. YouTube's brilliant. A lot of people don't like using YouTube for some reason, but you can upload videos unlisted to YouTube for free and put them in. YouTube's free. Okay, so if you don't want to use, and also because you've got a Kartra account, you can use the VSL inside of Kartra. Now, just one thing, if you're on a budget with Kartra and you're using Kartra, one of the things that will wax your video content is going to be, wax your megabyte data, because you only get a certain amount of data on each plan per month, is videos. Videos actually will rinse a lot of your data. So that's where you can use YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia at a much cheaper price. So it's just something, again, that I've picked up. I actually create all my videos in Vimeo because it's not that hard to literally do Vimeo and just embed the code. Kartra really, really integrates well with Vimeo, and it really integrates well with Wistia. Obviously just choose a platform you prefer. But again, if you're kind of on a higher plan and you don't mind rinsing a lot of data, then you can obviously use Kartra's videos absolutely fine. But it's just a little tip that I figured out, that like literally looking at pages doesn't take a lot of data. Watching videos does. So, if your plan is, I think you get 120, is it right? maybe correct me, 125 megabyte on the first plan or 50 megabyte on the first plan. I can't remember. Maybe it's 125 on the second. So I went over that quite a lot in the first few months. And when I switched over to Vimeo, I don't go over it now. So I think I'm on the second plan. But I still don't go over it because I can upload 5 with my with my Vimeo plan. I think I pay about 50-60 quid a year, $60 a year, and I can do 5 gig of videos a week. And even when I created my in-depth course, I wasn't using up the entire 5 gig. So yeah, I mean, you can create a lot of videos on Vimeo, and Vimeo will actually give you stats as well. So you can actually see who's watching your videos and stuff like that. So that's the one I use. It's not necessarily the best one. It's just the one that I'm used to using. Wistia is really good. I know a lot of people that have used Wistia as well. But YouTube's free if you want to use a free one. And YouTube's really good. Obviously, they have one of the best streamers on the planet, right? It streams really well. Okay, so all we want to do here is just configure this call button. Okay, obviously all of this you want to configure, put your own title in. But this is the bit we want to make sure is going to be going to the calendar. So we're going to go link. Okay, and we're going to put link to Kartra calendar. And we're going to select the calendar. And we're going to call it VSL sales call. And I am going to put open in a new tab. Now, this is like personal preference. But if somebody's watching your video and they want to listen to your video while they book a call, that's why it's kind of good to have it open in a new tab. If you don't, this page will go straight to the calendar and it will stop this call. Now, there's obviously certain things you can do within this. You can actually have this so that they can't choose a section of the video. They have to watch it all the way through. When you put a video in here, you can actually have it so that there's no play bar. You can actually set that in either Vimeo or Wistia or Kartra, or you can have it available. Now, if there's no play bar in here, and then they send over to the schedule the call, and they think, oh, I'm not quite sure I wanted to watch more of the video, they'd have to start right from the start. So I always put open in a new tab for that reason. So I'm going to put that as a pre-selected one for this funnel for you guys, but you can change that if you don't. If you want them to go straight to the sales call, that means that this page will disappear. But it does mean that if they come back, obviously, and they don't have a play bar, then they will have to watch from the start again. And that can be quite annoying, right? So just bear that in mind with however you're creating that. That's it. That's done. So we're just going to go publish live. Okay, now the only other thing we need to do is we need to go to the opt-in forms. I've got my notes here. And we need to make sure that they are now subscribed to the sequences and opted into the right pages. So we're going to go to the forms here and we're going to go My Forms. And then we should be good to test the funnel. Now, actually, just before I do that, I'm going to switch this one on. As you can see, I'm already in there. So let's go to... There we go. So I'm just going to switch that on because we are going to do a test and I want to make sure that that is actually being sent out. So then we're going to go back to forms, which is... Actually, we do need to go back in the pages because we want to add the help desk. So I'm just going to write that down, help desk. So all we need to do now is go into the forms, really configure those, go back to pages, add the help desk, do a test, and we're good to go. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. So forms, have I got one with forms still open? I thought I did. That one is just a page. So let's try opening it. Okay, we haven't. Okay, so we just need to go back through and edit these. So we want to do the opt-in success page. So that's the first thing. So that's done. There we go. So that is now going to be the correct page. So the opt-in success page is the VSL. Okay, because once they've opted in, we want to forward them straight to the VSL. So that's that one. And then we want to subscribe them to the sequence. Okay, we've subscribed them to the list and we've added the tag, but we want to make sure that that sequence is fired. Okay, now the tag should do it, but it doesn't always. So we're just going to basically send them the welcome email. As you can see, that's it there. There we go, there we go. So that's that one done. And then the next one I'm going to do is the other form. okay, because that one's done. And then we're going to go booking. So we're going to go edit. And then we're going to go I always say, and then I go, and then he went, and then I go. I can remember a few years ago when I was quite a young man, and my dad said to me, he said, "Is there anyone left in the room?" I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, everyone's gone." It's probably not that funny now, but I just thought of that then when I was going, and I go. So there we go. So let's go VSL, and then we want the thank you page, because this is for the calendar. So we want to make sure once they've booked the calendar, they go to the thank you page. So this funnel should pretty much be working now. And then the only thing we want to do left is we want to add the help desk into the pages, but also we want to change the name of the pages. At the very least, we want to change the name of the pages so that they're not all going to say Kartra at the top of people's browsers, right? So we're going to go back to pages, which I think I've got open here. Okay, so this is the VSL page. So the first thing I want to do is come down to help desk, and I want to put Kartra help desk. I'm going to select the VSL, okay, and we're going to choose an icon. Now, obviously this is personal preference. I quite like this one. It's not that imposing, but they can still see it. And then that way, if somebody wants to ask, they don't want to book a call, but they want to chat to you, you can do that. Now, if you don't want this, you can obviously switch this off. Okay, so I'll switch it on for now because that's quite good. And then we're good. And the other thing we want to do on these pages, actually, before I do that, is we want to go and change the name of the page. So how we do that, I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Like, you can get most of this in the Kartra training, but I just want to show you. The main thing you want to do is you don't want that to be called VSL page, right? Because that's going to say VSL page at the top of the browser. So you want to put something in here that's going to look nice in some, like the tabs at the top of your browser. You want something in here. So I'm going to put in here free training. Okay, now in the meta description, if you want to make the page title a bit longer and you want it to be ranked on search engines, you would put something more up the top here, and you would put something in the meta. So what that means is that the first line is going to be what appears in the say Google, and then the metadata will be the next bits that you read underneath it when you actually click a link in Google. So I leave all that because we want to hide this from search engines, because this is in the middle of our funnel. And I leave all of this. We don't want to choose an image. Now, if you put an image in here, this is for social media. So if somebody ever shares this page, so you might want to do one for your opt-in page, right? You might want to have an image of, a success story, an image of you, or an image of something. Because if somebody then says, oh, you want to check this out, and shares it on social media, it means that image will pop up. Okay, so obviously we don't do that for any of our inner funnel pages. We would only do that for our opt-in page, right? Because we don't want anybody landing on any of our parts of the funnel except the opt-in page, because otherwise that won't make sense. So we just wanted to change the title there. Now, the other thing you can do, I'm just going to always click apply as well. If you don't click apply, it won't actually change it. Even when you press publish, you have to have pressed this apply button. So just something to bear in mind. Now, obviously, you can put in your tracking codes. Now, if you've got Facebook pixels or any tracking codes, you can put them in here. Obviously, I'm not doing that for this, because otherwise my tracking code will be in here if you want to grab this. And then you can actually, again, you can always apply a tag to any page in your entire Kartra system, and which you can actually then get people to subscribe to different sequences. Again, we're not doing that for this. We don't need to do that. Because we've already tagged them that they've opted in, so we don't really need to do that. We could, if we want to, in case they come here via something else. Actually, we will. Okay, actually, I'm going to change my mind on that, because it doesn't matter if they have already. Yeah. Actually, no, I won't. Change my mind. Yeah, because if they come to this if you send them to this via some other part of your funnel, and they haven't opted in, they haven't actually been given a warm-up sequence, they're not going to be getting any emails. So I would do that from the opt-in only. Okay, sorry, I apologise. We won't do that. But again, that's just to let you know. Now, if you obviously at some point, if you want to turn off part of your funnel. So for instance, say this is your call page and you're basically at the point where you're kind of like your funnel's working, maybe you've got traffic coming in, you switch off the traffic, but you just to make sure that somebody doesn't actually book in, you could redirect them to sorry, I'm not booking calls right now, or sorry, that's not available right now, or that offer's over, or something like that. So this is where you can redirect them to a page. You can actually come into your funnel and temporarily redirect them or permanently redirect them to another Kartra page or a regular URL. And also, if you wanted to use this to create links to other pages, a bit like you can do inside of WordPress, so like pretty links or click magic, you could, if you wanted to, you could come and create a page, you could just create a dummy page if you want to come in here and actually move it to the page you actually want it to go to, if you want to create various links to the same page. But I think what I would normally use this for is if somebody wants to come into the funnel and go, and I don't want them there at that point. Okay, then I'll create another page. So we'll click apply just to make sure that's done. So what we're going to do, I'm obviously talking you through those and those, but on each one of the pages, all I'm going to do is change the title. Okay, that's the only thing I'm going to do on the rest of them, and add in the help desk, and then we should be good to go. So we're just going to go publish live. And then we're going to return to dashboard. So this has probably gone on a bit longer than I expected. I'm not quite sure because I've had to pause it a few times, so I'm not actually sure how long this has gone on for. It might be a couple of hours, I'm not sure. I've actually been filming this for about 2 or 3 hours, I think. And then we're going to just go back to the opt-in page. We're going to go edit. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. I hope you haven't gone to sleep. So I apologise if you're kind of like, oh, but this is kind of what funnel building is. I actually really love it, but sometimes it can seem a bit laborious. But obviously, like building out the structure is the most important thing first. Then you can obviously change pages. You can go into design crazy mania right afterwards. So on this one, all I'm going to do is add a help desk. And I'm going to add that one. You can actually display a bubble message if you want to. I don't like help desks that overimpose on people when they're on pages. I want it to be there if they need it. That's just personal preference. I think some people like to kind of say, hey, can I help you? I guess, on some pages where you're really, really keen to kind of get people to be indoctrinated, that might work. I don't like it personally, but, again, it is personal preference. And the other thing that we're going to change, obviously with that, I press the apply button down here, always press the apply. And the other thing I'm going to do is just change the title. We don't want opt-in page written at the top, right? So I'm just going to put... So what we're going to put here, welcome to, I want to put something generic, free training today, only free training, something like that, I don't know. And then that way at least it will actually say something in the top. I'm going to leave all the rest. This is the one where this page is the one where you would want to fill out all these. You don't want to hide it from search engines necessarily because obviously that's free traffic, people opting in. You might want to put an image. I'm not going to do that for the purpose of this. And that's it. And then we're going to publish live. Okay, then we're going to go return to dashboard. And then the last one is just check. I think there's only 3 in that. Yeah, the thank you page. So we're just going to do the same thing. I would put the help desk again on the thank you page because if they've got any questions or anything they want to ask you, that's always quite a nice thing to put in there. Again, you can always switch these off. You don't have to have these. We'll get rid of that. Put your logo at the top there. And then social media icons if you want to. And then I'm going to just put in call booked. That's all I'm going to put in there. Actually, no, I'm going to put oh, you can't put I'm just going to put success, because then if they look at the top there, that will kind of make sense. You can't put, for some reason in here, you can't put any exclamation marks or anything else other than just letters for some reason. So that's done there. And then the other thing, obviously, we want to put the help desk. So we're just going to... There we go. Done. And then we're going to go publish live. Cool. And that is it. That's it. That's the whole thing. And I don't think we've done forms or anything. So now what we need to do is just test out the funnel. So we're going to go get the code for the wrong page. No, we want this one. So we're going to get code or link. In case you haven't created any pages or anything, obviously once you've added your domain, you can obviously select your own domain down here. Okay, I'm obviously not going to do that because I'm creating this so that you guys can import it and use it how you want. But you can create your own name and obviously give it a name here that's not gobbledygook if you want to, or you can just use Kartra. If you're sending traffic in from paid traffic, definitely don't use these, okay, because Facebook hates Kartra links for some reason. And I don't think it's got anything to do with Kartra. I think it's just because it looks like an affiliate link. And Facebook hates affiliate links. And Kartra's affiliate links are very similar to this. So that's why you need to have your own domain connected and have this done. As long as you do that, then you're fine. You're good to go. If you're sending anything to these pages from paid traffic, you might get your accounts banned. So just something to bear in mind. So there we go. We'll obviously just leave that as is. But we want to grab that and put that into here. Okay, and here is our funnel. So let's give it a whirl and see whether it books in. It won't book into my calendar because I didn't select it, but this is my email, so I'm just going to put that in. Okay, brilliant. That's come to the VSL. Now we want to watch the VSL. Great. Schedule a call. Another thing you can do here is you can actually put a delay on this. I'll show you that in just a moment, so that this only comes up at a certain point. So if your VSL is 20 minutes long, you can actually delay this section here for 20 minutes, assuming that I put this in its own section. If I didn't, you'd have to create a section. I'll have a look at that in a moment. As long as it's got a little red cog here, if not, you can create an extra section and move those in. And I'll show you. I'll show you on one of these other sections. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. But you can just leave it up the whole time because, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, people know what to expect. You know, you're only asking for a call. You know, either way works. But some people like to make that available only at a certain point in the video, right? Because this is, you know, if this is meant to be training, then you can do that. Okay, so we're going to schedule a call. So as you can see, that actually opened up in a separate window. So that is, so if the video is still playing here, then obviously that can still be playing in the background while they're scheduling a call. And then they'll come in and they'll be able to select any day in the times that I've made available. So this is actually showing them in my time zone. So I've selected 9 to 5, but it's actually showing me from 8 till 4 by the look of it, because it's obviously configured it into my time zone, which is really cool. So actually, no, it's showing it in Central Time Canada. So if I put in, yeah, this is actually my time zones, because in the UK we're 5 to 7 hours ahead. So yeah, so I can choose any of these times and it will allow them to put it into their time zone, but it will basically still select the same time for both people, which is really good. So, so then I can select, say for instance, I want to do that slot there, 3 till 4 p.m. Okay, and then I'm going to use, this is the same email as my other email, but it's just that I don't want to use my Kartra email just in case it doesn't allow it. Sometimes Kartra doesn't allow it. So I'm going to put in this one. They go to the same place, so that's cool. And then there we go. And that goes to the thank you page. So everything's working like absolutely fine from here to here to here to here. That's all working. In fact, I did just... You might have noticed when I pressed the schedule the call button, it actually went to this page. So I just kind of figured out that I'd made a slight error. So if you're watching this video through, I did make a slight error in this form, in this first form, because what I did was on the VSL booking form, on the calendar, I choose the opt-in form, not the booking form. So the calendar was actually going to the opt-in form, which was actually sending them to this VSL page here. So when they were booking a call and coming back to this page. So I basically didn't want to film that bit. So I've taken that bit out for you. So you can see that's all working. We've got the help desk here working. Now the only thing we want to check is email. So I'll just log in. And as you can see, it says it's from Kartra and it says that there's a new booking call here, and then they can actually go in and schedule, reschedule, whatever. Actually tells them that they've put the call in. And if you want to cancel a call, I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you where you can see your agenda as well. You can actually cancel it and then they'll be notified like this. Okay, because I actually created a couple. And this is the welcome email. So that was sent. There's no images. So this is sent. So that's absolutely fine. That's cool. And there we go. That's that done. So that's pretty much good to go. So yeah, so you can literally just copy this if you want to create your own VSL funnel. And with your email follow-up sequence. I will also make this available in the Kartra marketplace, and I also include my 24-hour ranking system as well. So when any one of my funnels you actually get access to my 24-hour ranking system, which is a free module course. So I throw that in as well, which actually shows you how to generate traffic on Google and YouTube for free. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed it, if there's anything that I've left out, anything that's not confusing. And anything that is confusing, anything like that. So yeah, have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you soon.